It certainly is a great pleasure for me to be here with you this afternoon. And I will just give you a little background about myself before I begin. I actually, until yesterday, was the Minister of Health Promotion and Sport for the province of Ontario, Canada. And I've held that position for 4 years. Yesterday, however, we had a swearing in of a new government in the province of Ontario, which I am part of the new government. My government, the Liberal government of the province of Ontario, under the leadership of our Premier, the Honourable Dalton McGuinty, was re-elected just recently, on October 6th actually, to a third mandate. And we were sworn in as ministers, the new ministers of cabinet yesterday. I now hold the title of Minister of Consumer Services. So I have had a very long day. I actually have had more than a 24-hour day, because I started yesterday with the swearing in, and then we had a reception, and following which we had a cabinet meeting. And then I had to head out to the airport to fly here, and I got here and was on the subway for, I think, 2 hours. It was quite a long subway trip. And then I had a good walk to my hotel, and then I had to get ready and rush back here. So it is certainly a great pleasure for me to be here, and I had to, we did have a little bit of physical activity in walking from the train station to the hotel and back here as well. And I must tell you as well, when I did my campaign, we had about 6 weeks of campaigning, really strong campaign in the election. I walked 5 to 6 hours every single day for over a month. So I think you all should give me a round of applause for that. First of all, to acknowledge our host here on the stage, Mr. Herman Reuters, who is such a kind man, and I certainly am pleased to meet him, and also to acknowledge the Platform Party who is here with us today. Ms. Kelly Murametz is a colleague of mine, and she's in the audience, and I certainly think it's great. She's from Canada. She's over there, and I would like to acknowledge her as well. We have had the opportunity during my 4 years as the Minister of Health Promotion and Sport to work together and collaborate on some of the very issues that we are talking about here today. And I also would like to acknowledge my niece, Charmaine Christian, who is sitting in the front row, who is here with me and was able to get here before me because I had to stay back for cabinet. Anyway, I am honored indeed and excited to join you in the City of Lights for this most important event. And I actually was born in Jamaica, although I'm a Jamaican Canadian. And as many of you are aware, some of the fastest people in the world were born in Jamaica. So I'm one of the fastest people in the world as well. It is certainly the home to Usain Bolt, who I happen to know very well, and I've hosted him in Canada. But we know that just like the Olympics, where the best and the brightest gather in sports, most elite global display, MOVE Congress, is the global intersection for discussion of the relationship between sports and health. I'm certainly pleased with the title, Think Global, Move Local, that has been chosen for this conference. On behalf of all the participants and speakers, I would like to thank the International Sport and Culture Association and its partners for hosting this Congress in one of the most storied and beautiful cities in the world, and at a venue that by its very presence and history calls to mind the wonder of sport and physical activity. Today is possible only because the organizing committee and sponsors saw the urgency of the challenge, brought into a vision, and committed to seeing it through. A decade into the 21st century, with technology shrinking the world around us, we discover that national, regional, and even local issues have global roots and global implications. This realization is at the heart of what has brought us together for this 4-day adventure in sharing and learning from each other. In the late 1960s, it took a small group of dedicated people to achieve what was then thought to be an impossible dream, to land men on the moon by the end of that decade. Today's call for action, the raison d'etre of this Congress, and I apologize if I didn't pronounce that exactly right, is to achieve an even bolder, more audacious goal, one that requires all of our collective imaginations and ingenuities, to launch 100 million people worldwide into a higher orbit of physical activity, physical fitness, and personal well-being by 2015. The global impact of chronic disease cannot be overstated. Nearly 1/3 of the world's population has a chronic disease or condition. Chronic diseases are the leading causes of death and disability worldwide. Disease rates from these conditions are accelerating, advancing across every region and pervading all socioeconomic classes. In fact, the World Health Report 2002, Reducing Risk, Promoting Healthy Lives, indicates that the mortality, morbidity, and disability caused by major chronic disease around the world for almost 60% of all deaths and 43% of the global burden of disease. Nearly 1/3 of Canada's population has a chronic disease or condition. That is about 10 million people. More than 5 million Canadians, about 15% of the population, have high blood pressure, and 42% of these people are not even aware that they have these conditions. 1 in 3 deaths is due to heart disease and stroke. Smoking is responsible for 90% of all lung cancer deaths in men and 80% in women. And only half of Canadians get enough physical activity to benefit their health. The reason I am talking about these issues is because these are issues that I dealt with as the Minister of Health Promotion and Sport in the province of Ontario. And these are issues that our government will continue to deal with in the health ministry. Approximately 46% of Ontario's budget goes to health care. That is almost $40 billion a year. And most of this money is spent on treating diseases that are mostly preventable. And in the next 25 years, it is expected that the number of Ontarians over 65 will more than double, increasing demands on services and resources and further stretching our healthcare system beyond its limit. A recent report concluded that if healthcare spending roars ahead at 6.5% per annum, while total spending is contained to 4% growth, then healthcare would comprise 80% of total spending by 2030. That's a huge jump, 46% jump. Certainly, the report concludes that a healthier population is less costly to serve. Is it moving? We know that a healthy population benefits government, communities, and businesses. We also know that individuals reap many rewards from being healthy. Of grave concern to us is the fact that overweight and obesity levels are increasing in our young people. I'm having a little trouble over there. Okay, I think I've gotten it to where it should be now. Just a little patience, please. I'm trying to, I don't know, I only have 5 minutes. Of grave concern is the fact that overweight and obesity levels are increasing in young people. Okay. And finally, I have the right slide here. As you can see, we have an example of a typical 12-year-old boy who our research indicates they are heavier. And nowadays, a 12-year-old boy is in 1981 versus current time is 16 pounds heavier and a half-inch bigger waist circumference than prior to that. And so we have an issue that is very, very huge with the increase in sedentary lifestyles. As a matter of fact, there has been a term that has been coined. It's called sedentarism. And it refers to the fact that young people and individuals are so engaged in lack of activity, including just sitting around on the couch watching TV. People don't walk anymore. People do not get up to open the garage anymore. They go to the fast food, they drive in banking, and those kinds of things, the everyday things that we don't do anymore is really killing us. And that's basically what it's getting at. And it's not just killing us adults, it's also affecting the young people as well. And that is why the government of Ontario created the Ministry of Health Promotion and Sport to develop policies, programs, and partnerships that can improve health outcomes and to encourage people of all ages to lead healthier and more active lives. And to reflect the more active life component, sport was added to the ministry as part of the ministry's mandate. Now both health promotion and sport are part of the government's health agenda, and they will remain there. So we know that we can make a difference by helping people to make healthier choices, being active, and eating healthier foods. And so we are, I don't know what's going on. Excuse me, do you know what's going on with this? I think I'm just going to forget about the slides. According to the World Health Organization, health promotion is the process of enabling individuals to increase control over and to improve their health. To reach a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, an individual must be able to identify and realize aspirations to satisfy needs and to change or cope with the environment. Health must not be seen as a resource. It must be seen as a resource for everyday life. It must not be the objective of just living. Health is a positive concept emphasizing social and personal resources as well as physical capabilities. In order for us to promote health, we need to know what causes poor health. The ministry is founded on the principles from the Ottawa Charter developed by the World Health Organization, and they are building healthy public policy, creating supportive environments, strengthening community action, developing personal skills, and reorienting healthcare services toward prevention. Ontario values the knowledge generated and shared at the Congress. It informed and assisted us as we developed new initiatives to assist Ontarians in leading healthier, more active lives. A major outcome of the Congress was the ratification of the Toronto Charter for Physical Activity. The Charter is a call for action and advocacy to increase physical activity around the world. At the Ministry of Health Promotion and Sport, their fundamental goals are to empower Ontarians to make healthier choices at all ages and stages of life, create healthy and supportive environments, lead the development of the public policy, and adopt behaviors that promote good health. We have a number of strategies that we have used, including our Smoke-Free Ontario strategy. And we have also we initiated the Smoke-Free Ontario strategy in 2006, and it is one of the best examples of how we have utilized policy levers available to us to influence the decisions and actions of individuals. The levers include legislation, regulations, public education, programs, services, subsidies, and tax policy. The Smoke-Free Ontario strategy utilized 4 of these levers to achieve success. We also banned smoking in cars with children under the age of 16 years of age to protect the children from the harmful effects of secondhand smoke. Ontario also introduced the Smoke-Free Ontario strategy, which protects kids by prohibiting the sale of products we find are appealing to them, like flavored cigarillos. Restricting the sale of cigarillos is in line with our goal to promote a smoke-free Ontario strategy, especially for youth, which in turn reduce the number of chronic disease and death associated with tobacco use. I'm being told to wrap up. I have a long speech. Okay, so what I will try to do is I'll talk a little bit more about we have an after-school strategy, which I think is a very important strategy because it reaches out to young people in the most important time period where young people are usually sedentary, which is the after-school hours between 3:30 and 6:30. And we have identified that time as a time that we need to have programs available to young people so that they can be engaged physically and as well they can be engaged mentally, and we can teach them good healthy habits about foods. And so that is a program that we have rolled out in a number of schools and a number of areas across the province of Ontario, and it is benefiting a vast number of children across the province, and as well it is benefiting young people on the First Nation reserves, who are one of the really highest risk for diseases. They are at their risk factor are like 5 times higher than the regular population, and they have one of the youngest population in Canada. And it is noteworthy because these children are comprised of children under the age of 19, most of their population. The after-school program supports the recommendations in the Youth Violence Report commissioned by the Ontario government to engage young people in positive activities in the after-school hours when under-supervised children are the most vulnerable. We have worked with the Ministry of Agriculture as well, and the Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association, local public health units and school board to provide more than 1 million servings of fruits and vegetables to students in 61 elementary schools in Northern Ontario since 2006. By providing these children with fruits and vegetables, we are increasing the amount of healthy foods they are eating and helping them to address rising childhood obesity rates. We also have a diabetes strategy which we rolled out in Ontario to some of the key populations which are at highest risk. And we are working diligently to reduce the prevalence and seriousness of diabetes and its side effects. With the strategy, we hope to raise awareness of the seriousness of diabetes and the risk factors through educational campaigns. We worked with the Aboriginal communities through our Aboriginal Activator programs. Through this program, leaders or activators are identified to facilitate local sport, recreation, and physical activity programming. And we have rolled this out in 15 remote First Nation and Aboriginal communities across Ontario. And in wrapping up, because I know I have used most of the time allotted, I'm just going to speak a bit about sport excellence in Ontario, because I know that's an important part of this conference. In Ontario, building a culture of sport excellence is important because of the links, as I'm sure many of you are aware, between physical activity and people's physical, mental, and social health. Who better to explain the paramount link between sport, fitness and health and well-being than the father of medicine, Hippocrates, who said, "All parts of the body which have a function, if used in moderation and exercised in labors in which each is accustomed, become thereby healthy, well-developed, and age more slowly. But if unused and left idle, they become liable to disease, defective in growth, and age quickly," unquote. Developing a culture of sport excellence in Ontario and in all jurisdictions depend on strong partnerships with other levels of government, national and provincial sport organizations, coaches, and athletes. Ontario is working with the sport community partners to build a foundation of skills and physical literacy in children, strengthen the support systems and meaningful competitive and training opportunities that our athletes need to achieve podium results, build and sustain adequate community and high-performance sport facilities. These sport organizations, like Ontario Basketball, play important roles developing amateur sport in communities across Ontario. As well, our government will also provide base funding to assist Parasport Ontario with sport programs for Ontarians living with disabilities. All of these organizations across the province help high-performance athletes improve their athletic skills and encourage Ontarians of all ages to participate in sport. Ontarians right now are getting very excited for what will be our biggest and most exciting sport hosting challenge ever. Specifically, Toronto and the Golden Horseshoe area was certainly thrilled to be selected to host the 2015 Pan and Para-Pan American Games. Following the success of Vancouver 2010 Olympics, many people may think that the Winter Olympics would be the gold standards for international sporting events. In fact, the Pan American Games are the world's second largest international multi-sport event. Only the Summer Olympics are bigger. We are certainly looking forward to this outstanding athletic event. And it is going to be a great event in Ontario, and I certainly urge all of you to come to Ontario in 2015 for the Pan American Games. And it certainly is important for us to work with our partners in creating a culture of health and well-being, not just in Ontario, but throughout the world. We are working with governments locally and government and local communities, not-for-profit organizations to improve and build sport and recreational infrastructure across the province of Ontario, from skating rinks to bike paths, from parks to fitness studios to curling rinks, gyms and basketball courts. Across the province, 760 projects have been undertaken, with most now being finished and in the very final completion stage. Actually, most of them are supposed to be completed by the end of October. And to provide long-term sustainability for health promotion, we also need to make health promotion relevant to organizations that would not have traditionally thought of their efforts from a health perspective. We are creating opportunities for new and non-traditional partnerships, including the private sector, to support workplace wellness and overall workforce health. I am encouraged that the TD Financial Group report notes that big employers, who make up about half of Canada's workforce, should play a key role in promoting better health. As our population ages and newcomers arrive in Ontario and popular trends like the increasing availability of on-demand media emerge, health promotion must grow and shift to meet both the needs and wants of this shifting landscape. We can make differences in the lives of people when government, healthcare providers, stakeholders, communities, and individuals share responsibilities for improving health. The challenges before us are real indeed, undeniable, and they have been strengthened by the momentum of habit, culture, and lack of adequate information. But at this Congress, and wherever I travel across the globe at meetings like this, I see a momentum gathering. I certainly am excited and interested, people joining forces and exchanging ideas on how we might best meet one of the greatest global issues facing civilization itself. Sport is perhaps the most effective tool we can bring to bear in the quest to propagate healthy lifestyles. There is something about sport that speaks to each of us at the most basic and compelling level, but we must listen and we must also act. As I close, I urge all of you to harness the spirit of the thoughts and lead the change on making sport attractive, fun, and available to the people you serve. I am cognizant of the fact that government policy has a vital role to play in putting helpful tools in the hands of individuals, communities, and organizations. I am nevertheless mindful that when the pendulum swings and the challenges are met, you, each and every one of you here, will be the ones who will effect the change that we seek. And so we have to use sport as a social tool, as a cultural tool, sport as a tool that will create the change we seek to a world where children are healthier, communities are healthier, and the world is a better place for all of us and for all of you. I congratulate all of you on your tremendous accomplishments, and I wish you well as you embark on your respective paths. And I must say to you, I thank you for your indulgence and for allowing me a little more time. I actually had lots more to say, and I've come a long way to say it, so thank you so much for your time. And I will close with some words that I usually close when I speak, and I usually say to people, your health is your wealth. It is the most important asset that you have, and we all need to invest in it. Thank you so much, and good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the audience? Morgans.